Hi, I'm Patti Moreno, the Garden Girl.
And I'm Mel Bartholomew with Square Foot Gardening.
This month, it's September. There is so much in our garden right now.
Nice weather, huh?
Nice weather. I love the way the sky looks in September.
Yes.
And I've got tons of things still left in my garden. What can I do with it? It's time to kind of, save it for later.
Yes, and if you can, that'll improve your not only your nutrition, because it's fresh vegetables from your garden grown the way you like them, all organically, but you're going to save money too. What are different ways, easy ways that you can put them up?
Well, you can freeze some.
Okay, freezing, yeah.
We can can it.
All right. I remember my mother and grandmother had in the cellar cans, or actually they were jars. Why do they call it canning if they're jars?
Good question.
Okay, we'll work on that one. So it was beautiful going down there. In fact, that's a lot of fond memories, of my youth, of going to the basement, seeing all those jars on the shelf, and they arrange them. And then the other nice place is to go to the county fairs or the state fair, and they have judging and contests, for vegetables, the biggest pumpkin and all the cucumbers lined up. But then in the jars, everything was done so meticulously. It's really neat.
It is. It looks so beautiful. I do a lot of canning.
Do
I
you?
make my own tomato sauce, which is delicious, and I've gotten rave reviews from my family on my tomato sauce.
I'll bet.
Hmm.
Now I've never canned. Most bachelors don't can, but we can freeze. We know how to freeze things. I suppose another method would be drying. Have you ever dried things?
Drying?
Did you ever do that?
Yeah. Not so much actually. Not so much. I haven't tried it yet.
That's a very low energy, right? We use the sun to dry maybe slices of apples or tomatoes, something like that. And when they're dry, they're easily stored, and it takes no energy to keep them. That's the only problem with freezing. I got thinking, we're all trying to save energy now, so we're taking our excess from the summer and putting it in the freezer. But then I learned one thing, and that is, if your freezer is full, it's more efficient than when it's empty. So go out there in the garden, pick all that you can, and get it frozen. The best thing to do is mark it. Take a magic marker, a Sharpie, and make sure you tell what's in there. Now, the reason I say that is I've often taken out of my freezer bags or jars of things that wasn't labeled. I forgot. I thought, I'll remember this, and I have no idea what's in there. And sometimes you can't recognize it after it's frozen. So make sure it's all labeled. Wouldn't hurt, I suppose, put a date on that too.
Yeah. Well, another thing that we're worried about in September is our fall crop.
Yeah.
It's sprouted now,
yes,
the cabbage.
We started all the cabbage family by seed out of doors, which is much easier than the spring. Same crop, but done differently.
And now we can start some root crops.
Yes, we can do all the root crops now, especially things like carrots, which will last all winter long. And your carrots can actually be stored in the ground also. Now there's a real low energy storage method. And once they're grown and the weather cools down, they won't grow anymore. And then you just cover them with a mulch, or I like to use bales of hay. And then in the wintertime, you can go out and you just push the bale over, dig out the carrots you want, push it back again, and it's really a no work and no energy method of storing. You can do the same with quite a few of the root crops. Some of them will rot in the ground, but others like carrots will be just fine, as long as you don't let that ground freeze real solid.
There's also a little bit of maintenance that we have to do in our garden in September.
Yep, and you want to keep your garden neat and clean, and September's a good time to take sort of an inventory. As the plants get yellowed, the leaves get yellowed, the bottom leaves, or they dry up like the squashes start to look kind of messy now, and the pumpkins, these are all grown vertically. You want to take your scissors and trim off those bad leaves. They're not doing a thing for the plant. They're not taking any energy or sunlight in, but they're making your garden look messy.
And we're going to save all of that.
Yes.
We're going to compost it.
Yes, that's going right in the compost pile. And next month, we're going to talk about building a compost pile and what kind of enclosures you can use, and tell everyone a little bit about compost. Usually people are kind of scared and say, I don't want to compost. I'd like to, but I don't know how. Well, it's so simple. We're going to explain that next month.
So definitely check us out next month, which is October.
October already, wow.
Almost Halloween, and we'll give you more gardening tips. I'm Patti Moreno, the Garden Girl.
And I'm Mel Bartholomew, wishing you happy gardening.